Ever catch yourself, like, daydreaming about a life where you're just, I don't know, buzzing with excitement, where every day feels like you're genuinely, like, following your
Oh,
bliss?
absolutely. That's the dream, right?
Right. But what if I told you there's a formula for that?
A formula. Now that's intriguing. Tell me more.
Okay, so it's called the five-part excitement formula. And full disclosure, it comes from a bit of an unconventional source, at least for some people.
Unconventional how?
Well, it's channeled information from an entity called Bashar,
Oh, okay. Through.
Daryl Anka.
Interesting. Well, I always say, got to keep an open mind. What's the basic idea here?
That's the spirit. So for this deep dive, let's just see if we can pull out any practical wisdom from this formula, regardless of, where it came from. Sound good?
Absolutely. I'm all about exploring new ideas. Hit me with step one.
Step one is, as you might guess, follow your highest excitement.
Okay, sounds simple enough, but what does that even mean in real life? Like, we all have things we're excited about, but how do you know if it's, like, real excitement or just a fleeting thing?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? I mean, I'm excited about the idea of winning the lottery, but I'm not about to quit my job over it.
Good point. There's definitely a difference between, like, surface level excitement and something deeper. Like, how much joy does it actually bring you? How much does it light you up inside?
Right, like that feeling of being so into something that you lose track of time.
Exactly.
Mm.
That's a good sign you're on to something. And that kind of excitement on a psychological level, it's incredibly powerful. It's what motivates us, helps us persevere, even when things get tough.
That's so true. When you're genuinely jazzed about something, obstacles just seem smaller.
Totally. And that's where step two comes in.
Oh, right. Gotta keep moving. What's next?
So step two is commit and see it through.
Okay, so it's not enough to just, like, acknowledge your excitement. You gotta actually do something
Yeah.
about it.
Exactly. It's about taking action, testing the waters, and seeing where that excitement leads you.
I like it. So it's a bit like that saying, leap and the net will appear, but maybe with, like, a little addendum. And if the net doesn't appear, learn to build a parachute on the way down.
Haha. Yes. It's about being both courageous and adaptable, trusting your gut while also being open to the possibility that your excitement might, evolve.
Or lead you down a completely different but even more exciting path.
Exactly.
I love that.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so we're following our excitement, we're committed, but then this formula throws us a curveball with step three.
Oh, lay it on me.
Zero expectation.
Now, how can you be excited about something that has zero expectation?
That's what I thought. It seems kind of counterintuitive, right?
It does at first, yeah. But stick with me here. It's not about suppressing your desires or goals. It's more about releasing the need to control how those desires manifest.
Okay, so less about, I'm going to manifest my dream job at this specific company, and more like, I'm going to cultivate the feeling of excitement and purpose that my dream job would bring, and then being open to where that energy leads me.
You got it. It's about shifting from a place of, like, lack and control to a mindset of trust and possibility.
Because sometimes when we're so laser focused on one specific outcome, it's like we block all the other amazing possibilities that might be trying to make their way to us.
Exactly. It's like, have you ever noticed when you desperately need something, like a parking spot, they're all taken, but then you finally relax and say, okay, universe, I trust you, and boom, a spot opens right up.
Oh, 100%. It's like the universe was just waiting for me to chill out a bit.
Right. There's a certain magic that happens when we surrender to the flow of life and trust that we're being guided, even when things don't go exactly according to our meticulously crafted plans.
Which, let's be real, is most of the time. Okay, that brings us to step four, and I have a feeling this is something we can all relate to. Stay positive.
Easier said than done, am I right?
Seriously. Life has a way of throwing curveballs when you least expect it.
It really does, and I think that's where the whole idea of reframing comes in. Instead of focusing on what went wrong, can you find the opportunity or lesson in that experience?
So, like, instead of dwelling on a job interview that went totally south, I should be thinking, okay, what did I learn from that experience that can help me nail the next one?
Exactly. Or maybe that job wasn't even the right fit, and this experience is actually redirecting you towards something even better suited for your skills and passions.
Okay, that's a much more empowering way to look at it. And honestly, it's a good reminder that even in the midst of challenges, there's always something to be grateful for.
So true. And that ties into step five beautifully, which is divest from beliefs that are negative, fear-based, or simply irrelevant that block your excitement.
Because really, what's the point of doing all this work, like identifying our excitement, staying positive, if we're constantly being dragged down by those limiting beliefs? The ones that tell us we're not good enough, or we don't deserve good things, or that following our dreams is impractical or irresponsible or whatever.
You nailed it. Our beliefs really do shape our reality. So if we want a life that's truly aligned with our highest excitement, we've got to examine those limiting beliefs and then choose to challenge them.
Okay, so far this formula kind of sounds like a lot of personal growth advice we've heard before, just packaged in a slightly different way.
Sure, I can see that. Are you ready for the part where it takes, let's just say, a bit of a turn?
Well, there's a turn. All right, hit me. I'm ready.
So this source claims that excitement isn't just a feeling, it's an actual
Of
force.
force. Okay, now we're getting interesting.
Right. This idea that excitement is more than just an emotion, but a real force in the universe. It's a concept you actually find across a lot of spiritual and philosophical traditions. It's about the idea that by aligning with our excitement, we actually tap into a powerful energy that can shape our experiences.
Okay, I'm definitely intrigued.
Mm.
Tell me more about this whole excitement as a force thing. How does that supposedly work? Okay, excitement as a force. I'm not going to lie, that sounds a little, out there, even for me.
Mhm.
But I'm always down to explore new ideas. So, how does this whole excitement as a force thing actually play out in our lives? Like, what does it actually look like?
Well, according to this source, there are 7 ways this force is supposed to operate. Some are definitely more relatable than others. But let's start with one I think we can all get on board with. Excitement fuels motivation. Pretty straightforward, right?
Right, yeah, it makes sense. It's like when you're really fired up about something, it doesn't feel like work.
Yeah. Exactly. Think about a time you were, I don't know, super stoked about a project, maybe a goal you were chasing, or even just a new hobby you discovered. Didn't it feel like you could, conquer the world?
Oh, totally. When you're in that groove, deadlines don't seem as scary. Obstacles, they're just stepping stones. You're not dragging yourself across the finish line. You're sprinting towards it because, well, it's just fun.
Yes, exactly. And that's the power of excitement as a driving force, right? It's not about willpower or forcing yourself to do something you hate. It's about tapping into that energy that honestly just propels you forward naturally.
I like it, but then it gets a little, how should I put this? A little more woo-woo, let's say, because the source also claims that excitement can organize positive synchronicity, as in like those moments where everything just seems to fall into place, those serendipitous encounters, meeting the right people at the right time. Is that really about excitement, or is it just, well, luck?
It's the age-old question, isn't it? Luck or something more. But let me ask you this. When you're feeling enthusiastic and open to new experiences, don't you think you're more likely to notice and actually take those opportunities that might have slipped by otherwise?
That's a good point. I guess if you're walking around feeling stuck and uninspired, you probably wouldn't notice that random article someone left on the train,
Hmm.
or you wouldn't strike up a conversation with the person who could become your new business partner.
Right. So, while we can't exactly prove that excitement causes these things to happen, it certainly makes us more receptive to them. It's like we're tuning our internal radio to the right frequency where those happy accidents just happen to be playing.
Okay, that makes sense. I can get behind that. But what about the flip side?
Hmm.
Because this source also talks about negative synchronicity, which is basically like those doors closing, those paths that just don't seem to work out, even when you thought they were perfect. So how does that fit into this whole excitement equation?
Well, that's where trust comes in, I think. Because sometimes what we think we want, that specific job, that relationship, it might not actually be aligned with our highest excitement, even if it looks good on paper.
So those closed doors, those negative synchronicities are kind of like a course correction.
Yeah.
Like the universe is saying, nope, not that one. I've got something way better in store for you.
Exactly. It's about trusting that the journey, even with all its twists and turns, is ultimately leading us exactly where we need to be.
Instead of freaking out when a door closes, we should be like, all right, universe, show me what you got. Hit me with your best shot.
Yes, love it. It's about reframing those disappointments as opportunities. Opportunities for growth, for redirection. And that actually leads perfectly into the next point, which is this idea of excitement being the path of least resistance.
Okay, I've heard that phrase before, but honestly, I'm not sure I totally get it. What does that even mean? Path of least resistance?
Yeah. Basically, when we're truly aligned with our excitement, things just tend to flow more effortlessly. We're not wasting energy on worry, doubt, second guessing ourselves. It frees us up to actually enjoy the journey.
Oh, tell me about it. Remember that project we were both part of? The one where the whole team was just buzzing with energy and passion.
Mm,
It felt like everything just clicked.
exactly. We still had challenges, of course, but we navigated them with so much more ease because honestly, we were just having fun.
For sure. It's like we tapped into that current and it just carried us all the way. Instead of having to swim upstream against the tide, way more enjoyable.
Right. So much more sustainable, too. Okay, so we're following our excitement, we're embracing the synchronicities, trusting the flow. But here's the big question. Does all this mean that if you just follow your excitement, you'll attract abundance into your life? Like in all areas? That's a pretty bold claim, don't you think?
It is. And to be honest, I'm not sure I'm totally sold on it, but I'm willing to keep an open mind. What do you think? Is it really that simple? Just follow your bliss and boom, instant abundance.
Well, it's definitely not always that straightforward. Life is messy. We've got responsibilities, bills to pay, the drill. Sometimes excitement takes a back seat to just getting through the day.
Oh, for sure. And I don't think this idea is about, throwing responsibility out the window or expecting life to be a nonstop party just because you're following your excitement.
Right, it's not like we can all just quit our jobs and move to Fiji tomorrow. Even if that does sound kind of nice.
Huh. Maybe someday. But seriously, it's about those small, conscious choices we make each day that align with what actually matters to us. The stuff that brings us joy, a sense of purpose.
So it's less about, I'm quitting my job tomorrow to become a nomadic goat herder, even if that sounds vaguely exciting.
Vaguely.
And more about asking ourselves, okay, within the context of my actual life, with all its complexities, what's the most exciting choice I can make right now? Exactly. Maybe it is quitting your job eventually, or maybe it's just choosing to listen to an inspiring podcast on your commute instead of scrolling through social media, or taking 30 minutes to work on that creative project you've been putting off. Even just reaching out to a friend who always brightens your day. Those seemingly small things can make a huge difference.
It's about finding those pockets of excitement in our everyday lives and letting them expand, letting them infuse more joy and meaning into everything we do.
Yes. Love that. And the funny thing is, even if we don't totally buy into this whole excitement as a force thing, I think there's still so much we can gain from exploring these ideas.
Absolutely. The mindfulness, the self-awareness, reframing challenges as opportunities, questioning those limiting beliefs, that's good stuff no matter what.
Right. It's like, take what resonates, leave the rest. No dogma, just good old-fashioned wisdom.
Exactly. Well, as we start to wrap up this deep dive on the five-part excitement formula, I'm left with this one thought. If there's even a tiny bit of truth to this idea that excitement is a key to a more fulfilling life, what's one small step you, our amazing listeners, can take today to tap into that a little more?
What a great question to ponder. Is there something you've been putting off, a passion project, a connection you've been meaning to make? What would it look like to just give yourself permission to feel the excitement of possibility and then actually take one small step in that direction? Just one.
That's the challenge, listeners. What's one small step you can take today? Go out there, sprinkle a little excitement on your day, and let's see what happens. Until next time, keep diving deep and keep chasing that spark.